This copy of Pokemon Emerald was sent in for repair. Let's go ahead and plug it in and see what's happening. And nothing. Glitched logo, not a good sign. Let's go ahead and open it up. And right away we can spot a few corroded vias, and if we look at it under the microscope, you can see that some copper is definitely missing, causing a broken trace. And to prove this, I'm going to take my multimeter in continuity mode, touch the exposed trace and inside the via, and you can hear that there's no connection. So let's go ahead and remove this chip. Don't worry, all that smoke is just flux that got trapped underneath. I accidentally used too much. Next, we're going to scrape off some solder mask on these bottom traces to expose some copper that we can solder to. Now we're going to feed some very fine wire through the vias to restore electrical continuity on both sides of the PCB. All I'm doing here is bending the wire and soldering it to the exposed traces. After they're all soldered, I use a scalpel blade to cut the excess leads off. On the flip side of the PCB, all the vias are intact, so I'm going to go ahead and use them as solder points for the other side of the wire. And of course we have to clean up all that flux using some alcohol. Next we can slap that chip back on by tacking one pin down and soldering the rest. And yes, you'll notice I'm soldering one pin at a time. I use the drag method every now and again, but I prefer the one pin at a time method so I can control the flow of the solder and make sure I got every pin. Alright, let's go ahead and test this thing out and see if it works. The last thing to do is install a fresh battery and close this thing up and send it back to the customer. To prove that it still works, I went ahead and threw it in my Frankenboy DS thing, and it works just fine. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching.